Hey guys, it's been a while since I've done a video, like this in this group, but wanted to deliver what I promised I said I would do, last week, and that's give my view briefly on this whole let's say situation at the moment. I don't want to go too much, into that because people have probably had enough of it now and they know, let's say, the main bits and bobs of what they need to be aware of with this coronavirus. But then I want to just go into a little bit about the immune system, how it's potentially affecting people's health, but then essentially what can we do about it? What are the practical elements that are really, really important about this? Because this isn't me, showing off. It's not a science lesson. It's literally here to give you some ideas and some valuable content, because it's stuff that I know about, and I want to share it with you, and then it's up to you, what you do with it. Okay, now this isn't going to be like a really short video. Okay, I don't know how long it's going to be, maybe 15 20 minutes, but I'll save this at the top, be a pinned post, because regardless of what's going on right now, this will benefit you and be useful forever, because ultimately it comes down to you being healthier and being aware or reminded of the things that you could be doing to improve your health. And when the dust has all settled on this, because it will pass. It's not going to be yet or soon, but it will pass. This still applies to basic simple things like wanting to lose weight, have more energy, as I'm going to explain later on when we start being more aware of cellular health and how that is essentially numero uno when it comes to improving yourself, and all that jazzy stuff. It sounds like it could be terribly boring. Trust me, it's not, and it's a lot simpler. That's what I do with this stuff. You see all this stuff on my wall. It's just kind of crazy science room in here. But it's what I call my signature program, Fat Loss Made Simpler. It's taking these, let's say, complex subjects and making them simple and easy to apply, so they improve people's life. Right, so straight to it. There's three things that we need to consider at the beginning of this, and with the whole virus, is that there is the media, there's social media, and then there is fear. Okay. Obviously there's the news, and they do what they do. That's all I'll say at that point. They're there for a reason. It's kind of a business. They make money. They're putting a lot of fear into people. Yeah, sure, there's certain facts in there, but often it can kind of be led into a way to just make you watch it. Okay, let's just keep it at that. If you really want to know the facts, get yourself on the internet with these certain websites where it's actual facts, rather than kind of like them just trying to sort of draw you in. Regardless of what your opinion is on that's kind of like the way it is, and you don't need me to kind of tell you that. And then you got social media, where it's kind of similar, but that's Mary and Mark from The Office, or Bob down the road, who's got like his opinion, or it's, as they say, it's like people got two elbows, they've got two opinions. Everybody's got these two opinions, they got two elbows. And again, people then kind of have this influence somehow of what might be going on or what might not be going on, and that puts this fear into people, and that affects people at this, like, let's say, immune level. It puts stress. And what I do in some of my talks is where I talk about and simple fat loss and weight loss is people end up in this faulty figure cycle. It starts at the top where you've got like gut health, and then you create inflammation maybe by choosing into poor types of food that raises cortisol. Your immune goes down, you're exposed to certain things, and if it's just simple weight loss, you struggle because your health is inhibited in one way, shape or form. But with this virus, what happens is it's getting into your cell. So there's a difference between a virus and bacteria. So bacteria is like this living thing. Okay, you've got a good and you've got a bad. But then a virus is genetic material. It's DNA. So it gets into your cell, and then when that happens, it then kind of it grows, it populates, it reproduces, and then you've got trillions of cells. So if each of these cells has this thing that shouldn't be in there, it's causing the problem. And this COVID 19 is this different form of kind of virus, because we've had this before. That's why it's given that number. It's finding its way to your lungs and your respiratory system, which is where a lot of these older people are now struggling. But the bottom line is that a lot of people will be exposed to this. Now, you'll get the ones who get it but don't know about it. There's no symptoms because they're healthy and their body goes through this natural procedure of getting rid of it. Okay, and then there's the ones who do get it, and they do show up with symptoms, and they feel crappy for a few days, but again it goes. It's just a slower process. But then there's the ones who do get it, show symptoms, but then probably end up in hospital, and then that small percentage, unfortunately, who don't see it through and are losing their life. Okay, and up until this moment in time, it's generally the older people. Younger people possibly will get it, but we can argue, is that because there's now more stress going on around with it kind of populating into this bigger situation? I don't know. That's just things that we need to consider. But to keep this on point, and that is the fact that if you are healthier, you process it. Okay, your body deals with finishing it off and then get it not being a problem, because this virus has to attach to a host, and the host, unfortunately, is a human being. Okay, that's why it's being passed on through people breathing close to each other, and why we're now unable to hang around in, let's say, social environments. So if we just touch base on the immune system, and again, I don't want to make this a science lesson, and I still only really know a fraction of it, but I know enough to hopefully help people understand things at a better level, in terms of this stuff. Because you say immune system to someone, they probably just think, well, yeah, people who get ill and they get a cold, which isn't wrong, but we have to widen that at the moment. So you've got two sides to the immune system. There's the innate and the adaptive. Let's call them T1 and T2. These are T cells, and there are more, but we only need to consider this at the moment. It's like a seesaw. If one is up, one is down. Okay, so if you are more stressed, cortisol goes up, one side goes up, one is down. You then, let's say, open up this door for things to do what we don't want them to do. Okay, and then you go a little bit deeper, and we've got B cells and T cells. Imagine B cells are like the alarm going off, okay, the fire alarm, and then T cells, the fire engine, comes along, puts out the fire, you're okay, you know. So like what we're talking about there is you get the virus, your body then processes it in a positive way, you then become immune to it in the future, which is, you know, why the right people kind of do need to be exposed to this, otherwise we're never going to have any kind of like immunity to it, which is from what I could see was the basic plan and outline. It's just that obviously people have took the piss, so we're back down to this kind of lockdown state now. So that's probably about enough science. If we just kind of like get a bit more surface, you know, layer now we're in this situation at this current moment in time. Whatever the date is, Tuesday, I don't even know what day it is anymore. Tuesday the 25th, that's just, if it's that, it is that. Where we are, and we cannot really we can go out once a day on our own for exercise, and then just pop to the shop for limited, you know, stuff, which puts us in this position where we're not exercising, okay, which is a problem for many reasons. You know, you've got the physical, and then there's the emotional and mental situation, where mentally and emotionally exercise is important. A lot of people obviously only associate it with, you know, weight loss, which again, it's not wrong, it's just that, but we have to consider the other things. Now people are in this situation, myself as well, so I can't do what I want to do with exercise, and then that potentially exposes me to other issues about how I feel about myself, you know, my mood, okay. So if my mood's down, other things kind of come into play, and my food choices, and start putting more things into my body that I normally would that don't serve me, okay. So we've got to consider this bigger picture about this, and, you know, exercise is massively important, you know, from that side of things. And then there's the physical side, where, you know, if we drop a bit more science back in there, where one of the systems of the body, the lymphatic system, is, you know, where you transport things, you know, around the body, okay. And this is where sedentary people now struggle, because if they're not moving, they're not exercising, your body isn't pushing this stuff around, okay. You know, it's not like it needs a bit of it needs some extra assistance. It just doesn't move around on its own. It's not like, you know, where your heart pumps around the body. You need to actually like create some muscular movement. So we're in the situation where we're not getting to exercise, and we can't just accept that. We have to still bring some exercise into, you know, our weekly life. You know, it's not, we don't have to do it every day, but we really need to consider doing it 2 or 3 times a week, and then maybe some walking on top of that. So we're in a situation now where it's not going to be ideal, okay. We're not going to get into the gym, we're not going to do the things that we normally want to do, and we're forced into this, and it's never been something that I've really been a fan of, and that's training at home. But everything on the table now, we have to adapt, and it's just a temporary measure, and we can do that. It's possible, it's going to be possible. There is plans in place to have some form of workouts at home, and then they literally can just be like 15 to 20 minutes, and you think, well, if you could do that 3 times a week, that's an hour of your week. You know, we've got all this time at the moment. This is our opportunity to go, right, if I'm not really exercising much at the moment, and I'm not being consistent, if you can't do it now, you've got some questions to ask yourself, okay. It's not for me to tell you, but you've got to ask yourself, if I can't create certain habits now when I've got all this time available, because a lot of people are working at home, that's where, you know, you got to think, well, if I can't do it now, I'm never going to do it. So this is an opportunity to go, well, I still don't really want to do it, but this is the time to step up and improve your health and get moving more. But yeah, there's things in place, and I've just been working it out, you know, myself, because it's not so much the exercise and go, look, here's, do some squats, do some press ups, you know, do a plank. Okay, we know all this stuff. There's not going to be like anything in there that you have not seen, but accountability is going to be even more important right now, because, you know, people come to me for personal training for a few reasons. Skill set one, they need to learn how to do something and do it better and do it well. Okay, and then there's the people who need a personal training session because they need that accountability. You know, they've got jobs, they've got busy lives. It's easy to just push this stuff to the side, but now we're in a situation where you can't turn up and meet me, so we've got to connect differently online. And I'll be honest, that's going to be a challenge for me, because this is new, because I've never really gone down that route, and it's something that I've thought about, but kind of got busy with other things. But now again, I'm in this position where, similar to someone who's not exercising much, now this is the opportunity to really do it. This is my opportunity to go, look, I've got a lot more time on my hands now. I've got to go and look at things. I kind of haven't really got a choice in a way. Well, I have. I could just sit on my arse and do nothing, and then in 3 months' time, new people won't have a personal trainer. Okay, so I've got this stuff that I need to deal with, you know, myself. But there's things in place. Because, you know, as I said, emotionally, if you're not in this great place and it's affecting your mood, your food choices then also change. You know, we've all been there where maybe we haven't been to the gym for that week or 2 weeks, or we've just completely gone off the wayside, and before you know it, you're eating foods that you probably wouldn't normally, because food is like this instant satisfaction. It sedates your brain. It makes you feel good. So it's easier to choose into them sugary things, processed foods that give you that thing. Unfortunately, it doesn't serve you. We get fat. We get miserable. We become unhealthy. So we got to look at this from the 3 areas of. There's the mental issue that we need to train because it's good for our mental health. Emotionally, because it's, again, affecting maybe our other choices. It's not just the exercise. Okay, and then there's obviously the physical side, that we still want to exercise because we don't want to let all of that good work, you know, go to waste just because this thing has turned up that we feel like we're not in control. But there's other things that, you know, we still, you know, could do. But, you know, if you start choosing into sort of foods that you don't normally eat, you know, it's just, you know, booze, too much coffee, you know, processed food, takeaways, and just things like that, causes inflammation of the gut. And as I mentioned earlier about the faulty figure cycle, gut inflammation causes more stress, your immune goes down. So there's a familiar pattern here. It's not just about, you know, weight loss, it's our health and protecting us from this thing. So what do we do? Well, we take action. Okay, now this is something that I talk about a lot. So been doing a lot of work last 14-15 months around, you know, cellular health, and there's something called the levels of organisation. Now, regardless of what your issue is, coronavirus, weight loss, the doctor told you got a thyroid issue, respiratory issue, it's never really that. It's always a cellular thing going on. There's a slight dysfunction because, again, there's levels with this. At the top of the table, it's you, your body, that's the organism. A level down from that, you are created with these systems, organ systems. So the endocrine system, respiratory system, cardiovascular system, there are a few more, okay? Those systems are made up of individual organs, your heart, your lungs, your brain, okay? Down from that, these organs are made up of tissues, okay? Tissues are made up of trillions of cells, okay? So, if we start to look at things differently from a cellular level, everything above it gets better. If you've got more functional cells, your tissues are better. If anyone who's into skin products and nails and they want to have better quality hair, trust me, if you start feeding the certain things that I'm going to tell you about to do with that, they will get better. Okay, but anyway, so then you've got tissues. Okay, so if you've improved your cellular health, your tissues are better. If your tissues are better, your organs are more functional. Okay, if your organs are more functional, you have better systems of the body. Better systems of the body, you are this overall, more effective person. So, you find losing weight easier, you have more energy, your mood goes up, you're in a better environment to not get colds and not pick up, this virus and show symptoms, because I haven't had a cold now for, I can't remember exactly, let's just say 2 years, because ever since I focused on this stuff, it's improved my health, it's improved my immune system. I had to do that because I got into the duathlon and I was doing a lot of training, and I should be getting ill from that, because training twice a day, 5 or 6 days a week isn't healthy. I'll be honest, that's potentially not healthy. So I've had to up my game a little bit. Just telling you that, just to give you an idea of why I know about this stuff, and this is my chance to sort of really help people now, because this has kind of turned up. So people have got more time, and let's just focus a bit more on people's health, and exercise. So when we talk about cellular health, we have this system. It's like the 3 Ps. Okay, so you've got provide, protect, and purpose. So I use this sheet thing here, which I'm just saying, I'm not going to go into that now. It's over 100 questions, I think it's 150, and it tells you which area you need to focus on more. So provide is about nourishing the cell. Okay, there's a few things that a cell really needs, and it's oxygen, it needs glucose, but then it needs protein, because that's where DNA is produced from. People just associate protein with muscles, but actually there's a lot more things that we need it for. Like enzymes are made from protein, so if we don't have the right level of enzymes, we don't create the right chemical reactions, so everything slows down, we generally lose our health. So, but then there's the other things that people don't talk about. It's like micronutrients, vitamin C, vitamin E, zinc, selenium. We could go on. People aren't really aware of this, and most are deficient in, let's say, one way, shape or form, and these things connect the dots to overall health. So if we can just improve that, a lot of other things just change, rather than just people jumping onto the exercise and going on crazy diets. Because when I do my talks, and I'll say that we're in this industry where people are just rabbiting on about calories in, calories out at the moment. But if you've got somebody who's already in a nutrient deficient state, just telling them to eat less is only going to make that worse. So sometimes you have to sort of almost take these 2 steps backwards to go forwards. Okay, it's just that seems too slow for most people. But then, so they lose weight, but they then end up inhibiting their health longer term, and then they end up putting the weight on for various reasons. So you could argue it doesn't really work. So we need to nourish the cell to start with. Then the second P is to protect. Okay, so we need these certain little things that connect the dots that I've just talked about to help deal with oxidative stress. Okay, which is what I mentioned about with my own exercise, is that I've had to up my game with that because I'm creating more because of my levels of exercise. Okay, but that's okay. It's a natural process that your body has to create oxidative stress for then your body to come in and nullify it. But if you don't have the key elements to do that, you get ill and you pick up colds, and in a situation where you're exposed to other things that are a little bit more dangerous. And then the third P is purpose, and we're not going to talk about this too much, but we go down the emotional route. So if you're not feeling good about yourself, your mental health, your mood's down, this has an impact on your cellular health. And essentially what happens is, if some of them bits are missing over time, it's not instant, over time you get cellular dysfunction, and again, as that carries on, cells die, and then other things come into place. So we can just drop the simplicity back into it and just go nourish your cells, put the things in there, protect them, and do other things that just generally lower your stress levels. Okay, and then there's the other thing, sleep, especially. A lot of people struggle with sleep, whether that's getting to sleep or they can't stay asleep. Again, that has an effect on your mood. Okay, and especially at the moment, these people are kind of a little bit out of sync with their normal life. Maybe they're getting up later, they're going to bed later, and their natural levels of circadian rhythm are changing, and that's then affecting their mood and the choices that they take. So we've got to bring that into play. And then the third one is consistency. That's a word that I use a lot, but when it comes down to eating better, when I talk about the core four, so we need to stay hydrated. Okay, drinking more water, or the right levels of water. And hydration isn't about the amount you drink, but the amount you hold on to. A lot of like tap water and even some bottled water is void of certain nutrients. So we can add a little bit of quality salt, not a lot. If you can taste it, it's too much, but that helps you hold on to water. Okay, and then there's protein. That's broken down into amino acids. We need them for many things, as I've discussed earlier. We need them for enzymes. It's not just about muscles. So let's just get that out of our head. And then there's fats, healthy fats. Your cell is created with this outer membrane of healthy fats. So if you don't have good fats in your diet, those cells they lose their rigidity, their strength again. So they allow things to get in that shouldn't be there. So healthy fats are obviously important. And then fiber. But let's just say eat more vegetables. Okay, and a mixture, because we need them micronutrients, not just the macronutrients of protein, carbs and fats. It's the small things that people often lack, which certainly come into play with having healthy liver, healthy cells, healthy organs. People aren't aware of this because they're not taught it, but just keep it simple, but generally just eat more vegetables and get plenty of colours in, and lots of greens. So takeaways from this talk, if we just wrap it up, there's 3 things that we need to consider. Keeping our nutrition on point, doing the good stuff 80% of the time over the whole week. Again, this isn't a process where we need to be on a diet. We need to nourish our body, but depending on the goal, depend on the amount of food you would eat, but getting the good levels. And that's where I created the core 4, just to keep it simple. We could talk about supplements, but I'm not going to. on this, just because if you don't get the basics right with nutrition, supplements won't work anyway. What I will say though is don't get supplements from the supermarket. Cheap supplements are a waste of time. They'll end up in the loo and are probably just costing you more money anyway, and some could potentially have an adverse effect, on your health. But if you're unsure of that, ask. And then lower stress levels, because a lot more people are stressed at the moment. Don't need me to tell you that, but stress causes a lot of problems. You become more reactive. Your choices tend to sort of be negative. Okay, so just doing something simple, and that could be making sure we get exercise into your day, going for a walk, and doing whatever works for you when it comes to your emotional health. And then exercise. Okay, this is where the message is that we still need to find a way to get this exercise in, and that's where the online training is going to help us out over the next few months. And I hope that most of you will come on board with that, because I want this to work for both of us. It's not something where it's going to be like, right, gonna take the piss now, they need this, and I'm gonna pocket from it. I just need some level of income over the next few months, and you need to exercise. So there's a plan in place where I think I'm going to just freeze personal training, and we'll carry back on with that when we can get back in the gym. But then there's a new platform in place just to sort of tide us over, which is going to be cost effective. Because as I said, the fourth thing is, I think accountability is going to be the most important aspect of all of this. It's you use this, you use me to however it looks. There's not a set way of how I do accountability. As some of there's various ways that we do it, and that's where we generally need to have a conversation, because accountability only works if it works for both people. Right, so I'm going to finish there. 32.5 minutes long. If you're still at this point, I appreciate your time. I've tried to keep that as simple as possible, and if there's anything that you need to know more about with some of them bits, because I've tried to keep it as surface layer as possible, then again, just ask, pop the question here, email me, WhatsApp me, doesn't really matter. I've got a lot of time on my hands at the moment. Right, I'll speak to you soon. Take care.